Most of the hotkeys I've discussed so far have been related to using the keyboard. But actually, the set of functions I'm most proud of, and the ones I use the most often, are the ones I've programmed for my mouse. If you look at a regular 3-button mouse, you've got left, right, middle click, plus the ability to scroll up and down. So a total of 5 functions. Using AutoHotkey, I was able to map out a total of 20 functions. To be fair, I started with a 5-button mouse. The mouse actually came with some software which would let me remap the 4th and 5th buttons to perform some functions I could pick from a list, but I took it a step further. I treated the 4th and 5th mouse buttons as custom modifier keys, like Control or Alt, that change the functionality of the other 3 mouse buttons and the scroll wheel. With mouse 4 held down, I get backspace on left click, delete on right click, up a folder on middle mouse, and the scroll wheel becomes the left and right arrow keys. With mouse 5 held down, I get double-click copy on left click, new line on middle click, paste on right click. If I left then right click, I get cut, and the scroll wheel becomes the up and down arrow keys. So this way, most of the functions that I normally need to press on the right side of the keyboard are ones that I can now press by keeping my hand on the mouse. Specifically, the backspace shortcut is probably the one I use the most often. If you have a 5-button mouse, even if you don't use AutoHotkey, I would highly recommend putting backspace on one of the extra mouse buttons. So, will I ever buy a mouse with more buttons? Well, I don't really need to, because for my less frequently used functions, I created what I call the function pad. On a simultaneous press of both the 4th and 5th mouse buttons, I get a special window which opens centered on my cursor. The functions in this window and the size and placement of all the buttons are defined with AutoHotkey. From here, I can quickly access a number of functions, like this one, which wraps my text in a multi-line comment. If you're a web developer, you could absolutely use something similar to wrap selections in HTML tags. So you might ask, do I remember to use all these? And the answer is, I remember to use the ones which I use the most frequently, like these ones along the top, which I refer to as Workspace Keys. With a single click, I can use these to launch Unity, Visual Studio, project-specific folders, and even web pages related to the development of whichever project I'm currently working on. Having this custom multi-function mouse opened up a whole new ethos in development for me, which is Lesson 7. You can be a developer and use a mouse. To explain, I've heard a lot of developers say that you should constantly keep both hands on the keyboard, learn keyboard shortcuts, and barely ever touch the mouse. But I've always found that it's easier to highlight things and place my text cursor where I want to type with the mouse. So if you've ever felt like the 100% keyboard methodology just wasn't for you, I'd highly recommend trying something like this out.